So I'll just share a little bit about my background first, and then I'll get on to Whysup. So I had a good upbringing. I was an only child, but lived with just me and my mum. My dad left home when I was about 4 years old. In all honesty, I didn't feel like I missed him because I got a lot of love and attention off the rest of my family. So it's not violin time. But there were times in my life where I probably could have done with that father figure being around. But my mum did all roles. She was a mum, dad, she was a brother, she was a best friend, she was everything. And I was loved and I was happy. Now, I did well sort of growing up. I did okay at school. Academically, I could have always tried harder, but I sort of sailed through exams and I was okay with that. But what I did start progressing in from a young age was football. So by 11, I was signed for Bolton Wanderers. By 13, I was at Man City. So, I was one of the popular lads in my year group that was good at sport, had lots of friends, really happy, outgoing. And everything was plain sailing. And then really at the age of 15, my life changed really, where overnight I found out I was going to be a dad whilst I was still in 5th year at school. And I just remember feeling like my life had ended. I genuinely thought, this is like, how can I be a dad? Now, what I did is when I found out, I went to Lever Chambers in Bolton Town Centre. We got the news. They actually said, it's positive. And I remember, like, looking back, I was that young. I said, what does positive mean? I said, what do you mean positive? I just didn't even have a clue what they meant, even by saying positive. I said, your girlfriend's pregnant. And my girlfriend was at the side of me, crying. We walked onto Queen's Park, which was about 10 minutes away. We both sat on there and cried for 2 hours, saying what we're going to do. And then I went home to my mum, pretending that nothing was up, didn't tell her what had happened, and literally wore a mask and was like, yeah, everything's normal, going to bed at night, crying, not eating. And this went on for about 2 weeks, and my mum sort of knew that there was something up. And she questioned me. What made it worse is my mum was a family planning nurse as well. So, she was sort of like in total shock, and everyone was like joking about it. Your mum's a family planning nurse, and you're probably one of the youngest dads in Bolton. And anyway, the dynamics of that relationship changed, to be honest, because of the stress. We were young, we were carefree, we were a young couple at school, boyfriend and girlfriend, having a laugh, to then this pressure of, right, we need money now, we need money for this pram, we need this, and the dynamics of everything changed. And in all honesty, around that time, I just wanted to run away. I wanted to hide. I wanted to, and I don't mean run away from being a father. I just wanted to run away from this feeling, this experience that I was not enjoying. I was out of my comfort zone. I was scared about what people would think at school, what the teachers would think, what my football coaches would think. And I just wanted to hide away from the world. Around that time, I was also reintroduced to my real father, who had been in London, living in London for a number of years. And one of the first things I ever did with my dad was go to bookmakers and gamble with him. Won a lot of money. And I remember thinking, this is my way out. That was easy. I'm good at it. My dad praises me for it. And I've got a little bit of money about me, because at the time I only had a Saturday job. This is on leaving school, after leaving school, sorry. My son had been born at this point, 16, having a Saturday job, washing pots in a kitchen and starting an apprenticeship. I had no money. So I thought gambling was a way out, basically, and it wasn't. I went on to gamble for the next 13 years, destroyed every relationship I ever had. I had a good job all the way through that. I was a QS. I had a second child at 19. And I just destroyed my life, if I'm totally honest. Can I just give you 1 minute? Someone banging on the door.
Yeah,
this is what lockdown's like on Zoom. Friends who answer the door. Delivery drivers, mate. Last week I was doing a session for British Aerospace, and he literally was banging on the front door, came round the back shouting, and I'm like doing a live session. It was bad.
It's awful.
ultimately, when I found out I was going to be a dad, I didn't handle it well, developed a real dysfunctional way of dealing with stress. And that went on for the next 13 years. What also went on for the next 13 years is me pretending that I was okay. So I was going to work every single day, dealing with things, not only a gambling addiction, but dealing with the dynamics of having a child with two different mums and managing relationships, and all these things were going on. And I just didn't handle it well. And every bit of stress that I got from being a dad and the relationships and the dynamics of it, I just wanted to run away. And my escape was gambling. And you know, that was the only thing that I could literally forget about all my problems. Now, I also went to work every day in a shirt and tie. I was a QS. I had a good job for a national construction company. To the outside world, people thought I had quite a good job and I had everything going on. And really, my mental health was on the floor by the age of about 21. And that went on till up to being 29, to the point where I gambled for 13 years. I destroyed my career in the end. I lost my job because of it. I ended up building debts with some pretty bad people, you know, loan sharks and stuff like that. I was kidnapped on one occasion, you know, and they rang my family and my mum while she was at work demanding money. And it got so bad that I couldn't even see my children in the end. And now, I went into being a father, like, as much as I was scared, I was excited. I thought, I'm going to be a good dad. I've been brought up as a loving, caring person. And I was excited to be a dad and love my son the way I'd been loved. And here I was 13 years later being kidnapped and not even allowed to see my sons. And that's when I thought, you know, I failed as a dad, if I'm totally honest. And in the end, the rest of my family didn't want to speak to me. And I felt like I lost everything. And I got to the point where I felt like I didn't want to be here anymore. And I was planning on taking my own life. On many occasions, I get home from work and think, this is the time I'm going to do it. And thankfully, I didn't. I reached out and said, you know, I've got a problem and I need some help. Now, I had done that a number of times through my 20s, but this time I felt like I had nothing else to give. I thought, if I don't get help now, I know I'm not going to be here much longer. And thankfully, the help that I got is at a place 100 miles away from home, in a rehab in the West Midlands. And I went there. I stayed in there for 9 months. So we had to be away from my children even more. But I turned my life around, and I described that as when I became a man. And that was 7 years ago, and I've not gambled since. So I've managed to address that. From that, I had a real passion for sharing my story and hopefully preventing anyone going down the path I did with addiction or mental health, whatever session we're doing. And basically, we set a company up called Whysup with a friend of mine called Liam. Now, Liam, again, he's a dad. He was successful. He had a recruitment company. He was a director. He had 500 people working for them. And it was a real successful business, but he was taking drugs every single day. You know, and his life was destroyed by addiction. And in his darkest hours, he reached out to me and confided in me, and I was able to help and support him. And he came living at mine on a blow-up bed whilst I was in the Midlands because I already got help. And it's where we started to discuss, you know, at school where these behaviours started happening and when we were teenagers. And we said, you know, there's something we could do here. Liam was very early on in his recovery then, so he couldn't do anything delivery-wise. But I then went out and took it to a few people. And 3 years on, we've gone from strength to strength. We've got 11 other speakers working for us, spoken to 30,000 young people. We work in a number of different sectors. So we work in education, which is our sort of main sector, but we also do a lot in business. So we work with the likes of AO, AXA, British Aerospace. We work with all the young learners across the country. So we've walked them down. I think we spoke to 2,000 last year, and we're going to speak to another 2,000 this year. And I love my job. I don't gamble anymore. And the most important thing that's come out of that whole experience that I probably had to condense in 5-10 minutes really is that I'm a better dad. Um, my priority now are my two boys, who I absolutely adore. I loved them. I loved them the day they were born. I've never stopped loving them all the way through my addiction, but I also loved my addiction and gambling as well. And if you're an addict, you're terribly selfish. You put your addiction first, and I did that all the way through. Now my boys are my main priority. I'm there for them financially, which is important, but I'm also there for them emotionally. So my eldest boy is 20 now, and my youngest boy is 17. The young lads, they're going through things, and I'm able to be there for them and be a support to them. And that's really important to me, because no doubt if these things would have come up whilst I was gambling, yes, I would have tried to help and been there, but 5 minutes later I would have been back onto my own problems and thinking about myself. So yeah, I love my job, and I love the fact that I've got my boys back, and I'm a better dad.
It sounds inspirational, and I think, from my point of view, it's that when you were 15, if somebody had been there to put an arm around you and say it's all right to feel how you're feeling, like everything you're going through is completely normal for dads at every age, it gives you a bit of a boost, doesn't it? Like, to feel that it's okay to feel like that. But then what you're doing is you're seeing these kids before they get to the stage where it's too late and you need those months away in rehab,
Yeah.
I love the fact that you've been to my daughter's school.
Oh,
Yeah, well,
that?
Thornley, yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's amazing. The stuff that particularly with young people is amazing. And I think, like you said, being a dad is a key point in that, innit? It's kind of an anchor that keeps you. You know where you want to be as a dad. You always know where you want to get to as a dad, and that never changes as your kids grow up. Like my eldest is 20, and like you said, you still do things for them, but being there emotionally is the thing that you really struggle with, particularly with addiction or with mental health issues. That emotional response is the difficult thing to provide. You can still give them money and make sure they get to the right places and make sure the rooms are tidy and make sure that you're driving them to school, but sometimes you just need to sit with them with their emotions, don't you? Uh,
Yeah.
I love that. I love the way you speak about it. It's inspirational, honestly. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I'm going to share it on our website and hopefully and on our social media. We have massive networks of male mental health support and dad's mental health support coming up in June. In June, it's International Father's Mental Health Awareness Day. It's the Monday after Father's Day. So we're going to be doing, hopefully, creating a product for our social media. So I'll be contacting you about how you can get involved with that as well. And hopefully, in the future, we can do some joint work with some of these young dads who need that kind of support. It sounds like a great idea.
Would love that. We do a lot around mental health. So obviously at the start of Whysup, it was all about addiction and raising awareness with addiction. But we realised our recovery is basically looking after your mental health and well-being, and it's something that's really important to us now. And probably 70-80% of our work is mental health at the forefront of it. So it's not shifted really from addiction. We can mention what can happen on the back of it, but we do, like I said, sessions up and down the country now on mental health and well-being, and the best thing we can describe it as is it's exactly like your physical health. It can be maintained, improved, or deteriorate. And if you're doing things that have a negative impact on your mental health and well-being, or you're not looking after yourself, or you're not talking when there's a problem, ultimately your mental health's going to deteriorate. So we're not doctors, we're not therapists. We're two lads who've experienced these issues and struggle with our mental health, and now we try and make it as simple as possible. So, I'd love to do something with dads, especially young dads as well, but all dads, but young dads. I know that, I felt like there was a lot of support for the mum, or more support for the mum, and that should be the case. There should be support. But I just felt like this spare part that didn't really have this I just felt lost, really. And there is lots of things, and I think it's improved from where it was 20 years ago, but we can still keep improving.
Absolutely. I think one of the things that we try and get across is that it's okay to feel lost, because in maternity services, like you said, it's all for mum, but it really should be for mum. What we need to do is help dads to understand their role in that, and not back away from it because they feel lost, but get involved in it and be vocal and ask questions, and be involved in their child's brain development is the key thing, you know. And once you know that, it becomes a motivating factor for you to be well, you know. If you know that your mental health impacts your baby's brain development, you're more likely to look for the support that you need. Because like you said, it's like physical health, but you can't ignore a broken leg by using your other leg. Whereas with your mental health, you can ignore how disastrous it's becoming by focusing on something that you can fix. And that's a key element of what we try and talk about. Yeah, absolutely. One last thing, where can we find you if we've got dads that need some support with addiction and mental health?
So that's how we spell it, Whysup. We're on Instagram, which is our biggest platform. There you go, mate, good advertisement there. We're on Instagram, where we put videos on every day and useful tips on how to look after your mental health. We're on Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, and that's how you spell it, WHYSUP. So if you just search us. Also, if anybody is struggling, we've also got a support line as well that's funded by our merchandise. So basically, for instance, if someone was having a gambling problem now, we could get them assessed within 24 hours and we can get them into free treatment that should cost a hell of a lot of money, and it's completely free if you reach out through Whysup. So we're not just someone who's prevention and awareness. We try and do the full service where we can be a conduit into getting help and treatment for people as well.
Excellent. Cheers, mate. I'll speak to you soon. Take it easy.
Yeah, brilliant. Speak soon, mate. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.